everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Hard Truth. Recall that the hard truth for this series is history repeats itself, first as tragedy, second as farce, and that is by Karl Marx. Oh, grab yourself a cup of coffee or have some tea as we begin our story.
Up next, it was an ambush. But the scene yields few clues and the motives unclear.
This case was tough. Nothing was jumping out at us at the beginning.
Until a neighbor comes forward with a possible lead.
In part one, I pointed to similarities between the Idaho 4 case in Moscow and the Clear Lake case in Houston, Texas. And so the conclusions that I'll be working towards regarding the Idaho 4 case are now based on my belief, my own personal belief, that the cases are strikingly similar to the Clear Lake quadruple murder case, and that the Clear Lake motives and MOs may also be similar, if not identical, to the same in Moscow. Okay, the first thing I need to do is prove that Dylan was involved, either with a male accomplice or two, and or Bethany, but definitely Dylan was involved. Okay, this is a crime scene after a stabbing. When someone has been stabbed to death with a knife or gouged to death, there is blood and there are footprints everywhere. Okay, this is from just what Nicole suffered. Okay, and so imagine if 4 people multiply this by 4. Okay, basically what I'm saying is there's no way the killer left Ethan and Xana's room and exited the house without tracking blood around that corner, regardless of which way he left. And there's no way that Dylan didn't come out of her room and see it. This is a layout of the second floor with Ethan and Xana's room as the point of focus. As you can see, no matter which way the killer came in or left, he had to leave a trail of footprints from Ethan and Xana's room, which would be leading down that hallway and into the living room. Now, I didn't include any blood spatter here for the sake of decency, but there's no way that if he went upstairs first, he had blood on him coming down the stairs. And so he made an even bigger mess than what it would be if he only went to Ethan and Xana's room. All right, and so the footsteps are coming from Ethan and Xana's room, headed either to the foyer or the stairs. When Dylan came out of her room, she had to see the footsteps and also the blood splatter in the living room, even if she didn't go to Ethan and Xana's room. When she came out of her room, she only could go upstairs, out of the kitchen, or out of the living room, down the stairs to the front door. Either way, when she came out, she had to see that mess in the living room. And I'll tell you something else. It said that Xana fought back really hard. So this could have been done by a female. She could have got Ethan first, caught him by surprise, because I'm sure he wasn't expecting that, and then fought Xana in her room. If Xana put up a good fight, then that means that the killer could have been a female. Okay, so a female or a male could have done this. But whoever did it had to leave a mess leaving out of Ethan and Xana's room. Next, we need to talk about motive. Okay? You may be saying, well, this is a lot of speculation, but stick with me because each point will be justified in its own time. The motive for the crime is cocktail of drugs, money, and jealousy. Good.
Christine, and said Rachel was the kind of person that always looked out for the underdog, always tried to help others. Rachel even kept a photo of Christine in her purse. On the back of the picture, Christine had written, "Damn, we've had some crazy memories. I love you." The three teens would often write notes back and forth to each other in class, and Laurie recalled that Christine trusted them both so much she felt okay without the wig on, which is not something she did with many of her friends.
Next, we need to talk about motive, okay? You may be saying, okay, it was a party house and the motive may have involved drugs or money, but where does the jealousy come in? I don't believe Tiffany or Rachel intentionally did anything to offend Christina. I think she was very emotionally attached to Rachel, but any thoughts of Tiffany hogging all of Rachel's attention were likely all in Christina's head. Okay, the Clear Lake crime scene reeks of rage, just like the King Road crime scene does. And that rage had to come from somewhere. If all they wanted was drugs or money, they could have just broken the house when nobody was home. Same thing with King Road. There were times on King Road when none of the actual tenants were at the house while it was full of people partying. So there were plenty of opportunities to break in or slip around and try to steal the drugs or money without coming in and killing somebody. Okay? They could have broken in while everybody was in class. Now that we have a hypothetical motive, we need to find out who had the drugs and money or who was affiliated with someone who was dealing drugs. Ethan was an athlete, so I know he wasn't consuming hard drugs, and I seriously doubt that he was dealing in hard drugs. Maddie seems to be a kid at heart, and so I really don't get the vibe that she had enough street smarts to be a drug dealer or to be involved in the actual sale of drugs. So I'm going to eliminate Maddie and Ethan. That leaves Xana and Kaylee. Let's look at Xana first. Okay, Xana's mother has drug-related charges, and Xana's dad came and changed the locks a week before the murders. However, the solicitation of donations for that scholarship endowment makes me think that Jeffrey Canoto is not some big-time drug dealer or whatever, or he would front all the scholarship money himself instead of asking for donations. I believe Jeffrey came and scoped out the scene and changed his daughter's locks because he knew that house was hot. Okay, and also I don't believe that Ethan is the type of guy who would date someone who is dealing drugs. So I'm going to eliminate Xana. Some things that I noticed about Kaylee is, first, a restaurant job in a small town can only pay the employees so much. But Kaylee seemed to be prospering financially, even to the point that she looks more like money than the rest of her family. If you look at the family pictures and stuff, she stands out. She was doing well enough to move out of 1122 King Road. She had just purchased a 2016 Land Rover and Volt just days before the incident. And, even keeping a dog like Murphy well groomed, that takes extra money. And so it just seemed like she was doing better than the rest of the students, tenants at the house, as far as finances. Okay. Another thing I noticed is that Kaylee was on her phone constantly at the grub truck. Okay, that's it for today. Stay tuned for episode 3. Hey, thanks for watching another episode of The Hard Truth.